Welcome to Megapath Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk The Walking Dead comic Q&A number 15. Now, for those not in the U.S., this is the Thanksgiving holiday weekend, so I'm spending a lot of time with family, and I will be back on track with the regular videos this Sunday, covering the first impression review for The Walking Dead, Season 7, Episode 6. I think we're on Episode 6. And then the prediction video for the following episode. And if you've sent something in for Matt Mail, I got a bunch of different mail clip videos I got to piece together and upload those, so they will be coming, as well as the 100K discussion video. I kind of went a little overboard. I did a discussion video. It started just to be like oh, we made it, whoop-de-whoop. 50 minutes later, I lost my mind. I started talking about random different shit. I don't know if you guys want that video. Maybe I will upload that for those who are interested, and then I'll do something different. I don't know yet, but thoughts and opinions about all that in the comment box. And if you're new here, you can find the rules to participate down in that video description. And I think that's about it. And also, the MAPP Fan Family Facebook group is kicking ass and active as hell. So if you're interested in that or anything else, you can find all the links down below. Let's kick this off with my mouth won't say the proper word. Apothecin Doom. If Rick was to die in issue 163, who do you think will be the next main character to take up leadership? I've always said Carl Grimes. I think a lot of fans just pick him because he'll be the last surviving Grimes family member. But as of right now, I think in an ironic way, the Walking Dead universe has become more popular than the character of Rick Grimes, like the single character. So when the time is right, I think when Rick Grimes dies, the leadership, the main character role, should go to a few different characters, not just solely Carl. It should be like Carl and Michonne and Negan and Andrea, Maggie, who's ever left, you know what I mean? Not saying Negan needs a main role, I'm just using him as an example. He doesn't even have to become a good guy, he can stay somewhat in a gray area, you know. Anyway, moving on. Victor Ojeda. What if Rick's hand and the Walker hands represent that both the Whispers and the communities are getting conquered by the radio group Eugene talked to, and that is the end of the war because they all become slaves? Yeah, that's a possibility. I mean, as far as a what-if scenario, as long as the story is cool, I'm cool with it. With that said, at first I didn't think they would have enough time because keep in mind, the distance. They're in Ohio, which is roughly around 7 or 8 hours, and traveling in this world, depending on if they have horses or cars or whatever the hell, it's not going to be that easy. And they only have a landmark, so I don't think it'll be that easy to find their exact location, but it is plausible because we know that the war was raging for a couple hours, and then Beta was knocked out for 5 hours, and then they also made it to the hilltop at nighttime. So this war is going on for like half a friggin' day. So that opens up the possibility that the radio group could actually be in that area right about now. Whether or not they're going to be good or bad, I think it would be beneficial to the story if they were good, and connecting with them led to opening the world up to other bad guys. I think it would be a little too repetitive if it was like, bad guy group, okay, get attacked by another bad guy group, you know. Depends on how they do it, though. Jeff Atwood, when Negan does die eventually, how would you want him to die? As of right now, I'm sticking with Maggie beats him to death with Lucille. I'm going to stick with that until something else presents itself that's better. Harry Stoker. How do you personally store your comics? My collection is getting too big. I have them in the cardboard boxes. They're the long comic boxes. They're made specifically for that purpose, and I don't know any other method besides that. And it's doing great. It's perfect. You get the long boxes, and you fill those suckers up, and then you can crisscross and stack them. Don't stack them straight up, crisscross them like Jenga. And I think it is better for the boxes as far as weight. Right now I don't stack mine, though. I just keep them flat on the ground in the closet. Rogue Member. Graphically speaking, where will the Walking Dead comic book end? Oh, I'm sorry. Graphically. Geographically. Okay, so you're talking about the geography. Like, where in the world will it end? Well, right now they're in Virginia. We don't know if they're going to move. Like, if they go to Ohio and die there and that's it, then it will end in Ohio. If they travel to Pennsylvania, it will end in Pennsylvania. We don't know where they're going to travel to. If they died right now, if it ended right now, they're in Virginia right now in the comic. So it would end in Virginia. Molly Sports, do you think if Rick is killed in issue 163, the comics will instantly die out? No. I think The Walking Dead is so popular that it would take definitely a couple years after Rick Grimes died, and the popularity dies with it. I think it would still take a couple years because the comic is doing so well, and fans would definitely hang on. I think the story would be gutted if Rick Grimes, the flow of the story itself would be gutted in a negative way if Rick Grimes was to die. And that is not the same as saying, oh, I love this character, so if he dies, I'm out because I don't care about anything else besides the character. That's not true at all. Rick Grimes, the story is centered around him so much so that it would hurt the story. It would actually hurt the story. So I feel like a lot of fans would stick with it to see if it would get interesting or go in a different direction. But if it didn't, yeah, it would probably take a couple years. It wouldn't be instant, though. Steve Kroll, do you think the comic will end at issue 200? No, I don't. If not, how much story do you think is left? There's more than 300. Kirkman said 300 as a random number, which is a good number to pick because it's far enough to not worry about it, but it's not so ridiculous to seem too greedy or to seem like you're milking it. So I know fans kind of misinterpret why he says 300, but that's, in my opinion, that's why he said 300. For the comic book, the story that's designed, you can make 500 issues as long as you continually moved on. Like when it's time to move on from Rick, from Negan, from these certain characters, you gotta move on, but you have to world build. Right now, in order to set that up for the comic book to have a long shelf life from this point on, Kirkman needs to world build now. He needs to connect with Ohio. He needs to put Rick in a position of power like a king. Either that or go back out on the road. For realism, you're going to have to stop. You're going to have to grow crops. You're going to have to build villages. There's no way to survive without stopping and building crops, building villages, because it's not like the world now where you can just stop at a store and buy supplies, you know? You need to grow your own supplies, your own food. You need to farm it. You need to have cattle and cows and all that shit. So, yeah, there's no way around it. Unless you're going to jump right over the realism, yeah, you need to establish like a medieval style world in the fallen modern world, you know what I mean? SPFFA. Ronnie, I think Maggie or Rick will die just because Rick is getting really old and crippled in the comics, and Maggie would shock all of us. What are your thoughts? No and no. Yeah, I'm a little nervous for Maggie, but I feel like there's more there. You know what I mean? What did Maggie's story do? Take over leadership here just to be killed off in a war right after the one war? I feel like there's more there. Same with Rick. I don't think being crippled does anything to Rick that injures his story. He needs to be king. He needs to be leader. He can be crippled for that. He could be in a wheelchair completely, and he can still sit on the throne. You know what I mean? NLC Productions. Do you think that Rick will be the only survivor based on the cover? No, I don't. Brian Stefani. I don't know why I butchered that name, but my brain wouldn't make the connection. Taking over any of the groups as leader in the... Oh, you're talking about Negan taking over. Yeah, sure. You know, he could take over the Saviors for all I care. Rick Grimes, Crow. Do you think it's possible that the 163 cover symbolizes the war ending with the survivors winning, but the communities get overrun in the process? I think looking at the cover and looking at the summary, that's exactly what that's exactly what the symbolism is, but there's also something I feel that's hidden in there. I don't think it's as black and white, but I'm leaning more towards that being what it is, because we've already seen a cover where they're looking out at Alexandria filled with walkers. So it could just be Rick's hand isn't symbolic for Rick alone. It's symbolic for all of Alexandria. And then on the cover of 164, was it? We saw Maggie and Carl and Herschel looking over at Alexandria, which is all symbolic. When we see Maggie, Carl, and Herschel on the cover, in the actual story, it could be all of them. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be summarized, So they symbolize all of the survivors from the hilltop, not just those three. And then with Rick's hand, that can be symbolic of all of Alexandria, not just him, being overrun, that is. Eric Cockrell. You think it's possible that Rick and Michonne hook up as a couple in the comic book pending Andrea's demise? At this time, that's tricky. I don't think so, because the TV show. Honestly, I think at this time it would feel like they are just trying to make that connection because of the TV show, so a lot of fans might scream foul at that. They might scream that it's forced. Right now, if Andrea died because he professed so much love towards her, leave Rick broken and not ready to move on so quickly. Because he has moved on pretty quick to a couple different females after Lori, so give him time to mourn, definitely. Tom Coppola. Do you think Carl and Lydia will get back together? I'm 50-50 on that. Mark and Scott. Do you think Kirkman would be willing to do something as epic as Maggie needing to hand Herschel out of a window in the burning house right into Negan's outstretched arms? This is something awesome that I can't wait for. Negan is somewhere out there, and I feel like Kirkman is leaving him a secret on purpose, because we saw Dwight in them and we didn't see Negan. We saw Michonne even and we didn't see Negan. Negan is somewhere there, so I think they're doing something where Maggie and them are going to run into Negan in this battle, and I'm hoping it comes down to Negan helping in some way. Might not be intentional. He might, in my opinion, he might not even recognize her. He might just end up going to help this person who's on their side, and she looks up and she's horrified by what she sees. Now, Maggie's a person where I don't see her just, trying to kill him in that moment, but she's going to be enraged, you know what I mean? So, it's tricky. Will her rage get the best of her and she's going to lose her shit? What about Carl? He still wants to kill him? What if Negan says, whoa, hold on, your dad freed me to help fight, yada, yada, yada. And then Dwight's there. He could be like, listen, I want him dead like you guys, but he's helping us. We need him, da, da, da. So, I can't wait to see what they do there. I really can't wait. It's going to be cool. Mark Restar. Battery's dying, damn it. Everyone talks about how they would end the series. How would you begin the series in a different way if you could? I would begin it from the very beginning, like of the whole outbreak. Zombie Slayer. What role do you think Negan will have after the Whisperer War if he survives? This is difficult. It depends on if they're going to make him leader of the Saviors or not, because they're kind of setting the Saviors up to play some type of role. So it would be interesting to replace him, but now Rick be in charge of Negan instead of the other way around. I think that would be interesting. Yuro Kashinen. Do you think that Beta could be someone we know in the comics? Yeah, you talk about he doesn't want his face to be seen, and I definitely agree that there's something there, and I'm curious too, but I don't think it could be somebody we would recognize, because everybody we've come across either died or had a definitive end, right? Unless it was somebody at Woodbury that... But then again, he would be hiding it from the viewers, not the Whisperers. So it has to be a scar. Do you know what I mean? And if he's hiding it from the viewers, that's breaking the fourth wall in the comic book, and that gets pretty cheap. Chuck Thomas, you're talking about a misprint where they said it was Ezekiel and Michonne coming to the rescue in the Battle of the Whispers. Yeah, I forget what issue it was, but it was one of the Whisperer War part 2 or 3. It doesn't matter. But the point is, yeah, that was a misprint, and I saw it too. And you asked how that could happen. I don't know. There's been a number of misprints that fans have caught over the years. I know it's common in comic books, and it could just be a matter of them working on so many different projects that it just slips through the cracks, There's sometimes where, like, clearly it's not Ezekiel, but your brain might have Ezekiel, or you have Ezekiel on the brain for some reason. How many times has Robert Kirkman wrote something or talked about Michonne and Ezekiel because they're a couple? So he was probably just on autopilot, They're a couple, so Michonne and Ezekiel coming to the rescue, it fits, you know what I mean? So he probably just didn't pick up on it that he meant Jesus. I could definitely see something like that slipping through the cracks. How the editor missed it, I don't know, but I don't know. Siddharth Santosh. At the end of the letter hacks in 160, Sean says they're going to do something they haven't done in a while, and it isn't pleasant. What do you think he's talking about? I'm guessing a prison-style, all-out massacre of the good guys. I would have to agree. Now, I was trying to think about something he could be referring to. The problem, though, is with creators, with people involved, it is on a different level. More so on a TV show. Like on a TV show, when they talk about something being insanely gutting and horrific and horrible, they have these connections with the other actors, so they're losing a friend in a way, you know what I mean? A friend they work with. So it hurts them in a different way than it hurts fans of the characters, you know what I mean? It hurts them both, absolutely, but it's in different ways. So what a fan might think is, oh, that was harsh, you know? An actor might be like, it was the hardest day I've ever had to film. So they're both honest, but it's through two different experiences, two different types of experiences. So Sean could be talking about something as easy as destroying their home, you know what I mean? He could be referring to something like that, and we might be thinking of something epic, like they're going to have 7 deaths in one issue. But again, he could be talking about that. And if you guys want to help out, what do you think Sean is talking about that they haven't done in a while? And it isn't pleasant. I think that's one clue that leans more towards them killing a lot of characters, like the prison. Alright, Zazman Reviews. You believe the Ohio group to be the next villain in the story? No. I do believe the Ohio group is going to lead us to the next big bad in the story, but as of right now, I just don't see them being the next villains. Now, they likely are. They could be, you know. Right now, I'm going to say that they lead to the next villains. Maybe not even intentionally, but now that I say it, that sounds like how Jesus wasn't the next big villain, but in a way, he was leading to the next big villain, you know what I mean? But I don't want to seem too repetitive, but I would prefer a little break from the villains, maybe show a larger community, a larger network of communities, and start exploring what's out there in the world of The Walking Dead. I want to see that. I can't wait to see neighborhoods that are, you know, overgrown, and see what the world is out there, what different areas are connecting. We know in the world of The Walking Dead, people are being extracted out of areas. Where were they taken to? We've seen some tent cities, you know, some FEMA camps that were overrun, but there has to be some successful areas where they evacuated people to that are still running and that have always been up and running. Something like that I'm curious about, but I will take whatever story they want to give, again, as long as it's interesting. So, thoughts and opinions, theories, speculation, and if you want to participate, don't forget to put Q&A before your question down in that comment box, and don't forget to read all the rules because it definitely helps getting your questions seen. Put those down below and we'll be back for another one. I'm done talking. It's your turn. Subscribe now.